So let's begin today's video, children, with adaptation. Now, what exactly is adaptation, children? Adaptation is such a characteristic of living organism which includes such structural and the functional features. Structural means in the structure of the body, and functional means how they start functioning accordingly, that improve their chances of survival in a particular environment. That means such changes that the living organism make in themselves, either structurally or functionally, which helps them to stay well and to fit well in a particular kind of an environment or surrounding, is what is known as adaptation. An organism which copes well with a particular environment will be able to lead a better life. For example, a desert rat is better adapted to live in a desert than a field rat. Now, desert rat means, children, the rats that are found living in deserts, and field rats are the ones that live in the agricultural field. Because the former, that is the desert rat, can cope well with the harsh conditions of the desert. That means if in a desert, children, you look at one side a desert rat and on the other side you have a look at the field rat, you take and you leave them over there, then you will be able to see that the desert rats are able to adjust themselves very well, whereas a field rat may find it very difficult to live in such harsh conditions. Similarly, children, the camel is able to survive in a desert, right? You know, camels are known as the ship of the desert. Why? Because the body modifications are such that they can easily live in a harsh condition like a desert. The desert rat and the camel are the examples of adaptation to the xeric conditions or the dry habitats. So these are the organisms, children, that are adapted by themselves, by nature, that they are able to live in such kind of a dry habitat. Similarly, if you take the same animals, children, if you take a camel and you leave them into the adaptation or into the habitat, children, where there is a lot of snow, then obviously camels will not be able to stay in that area. Adaptations may be of two types, short term and long term. Now, short term adaptations include changes which are of temporary nature. For example, when we are exposed to direct sunlight, our skin starts becoming tanned. We say that the skin has become dark, that is tanning. The skin pigment, children, which is known as melanin, starts accumulating in the top layer of the skin. And this melanin absorbs the excess radiation of the sun and protects the underlying tissue from the harmful effects. That means in order to protect our deeper layer of the skin from the harmful effects of the rays of the sun, this melanin comes to the top layer and starts accumulating there. And because of this melanin which comes to the top layer, children, our skin starts becoming tan, or we say it has become dark. What is long-term or permanent adaptation? This can be seen in various birds whose beaks and claws are modified. Such adaptations that occur over a long period of time are due to the changes in the genes, about which you will be able to study and learn in the higher classes. Now, because this thing has come over here, I want to share with you an interesting fact, children. Earlier, it was supposed that the snakes also had feet. They had legs to walk, right? Why? Because they used to crawl. They were supposed to crawl on the the jungle floors or the forest floors. They used to crawl, but when they used to crawl, their legs used to get entangled with all the underlying vegetation that was there, the grass or maybe the small the plants that were there on the soil and all. So their legs used to get entangled in that. So slowly and slowly they started moving, lifting up their legs. And when they started lifting up their legs and they started moving, slowly and slowly the legs stopped being functional and they were lost in the further genes of the snakes. And today we find snakes that don't have the legs. So this is what is known as adaptation. Similarly, it is in the biology, we also study that the giraffes, they were like horses only. They didn't had a long neck as you see them today. It was because these animals were very fond of eating the very soft leaves that used to grow on the tip of the plant. So they used to keep on jumping and they used to lift their neck so much that slowly and slowly, because of the stretching of the neck, their neck started becoming so long. So this is how the biological changes take place due to the adaptation. Coming to adaptation in plants. Based on the amount of the water that is available in a particular habitat, plants are divided into the three types or the three categories: the hydrophytes, mesophytes, and the xerophytes. Now, hydrophytes are the plants, children, that basically live in water. Hydro is a word which is used for water, so they are the aquatic plants. Mesophytes are the plants that require a moderate amount of water, neither too much nor too little. And xerophyte are the desert plants that need a very little or less amount of water. So we begin with the first type, that is hydrophytes. Now these hydrophytes are also, children, of the following types, that is free floating, rooted and free floating, submerged and rooted. Now free floating means, children, they remain floating on the surface of the water. They are not attached to the soil. That means they are not attached to the base of a water body, but remain floating on the surface. Like we have the water hyacinth. Rooted and free floating, in this type of plants, children, the roots are fixed into the soil and still the leaves remain floating due to the long petiole. Now what was petiole, children? If you remember, petiole was the small stalk with which the leaves were attached to the plant. Now look at this, children. This is a free floating example. Now see, the roots are still floating in the water and the plant is floating on the surface of the water. Whereas the other picture, children, over here is showing you that how other one, that is rooted and free floating picture, is there. See, they are rooted and still they are free floating. Coming to the third type of the plants, that are hydrophytes, submerged and rooted. Now the plant will remain, the complete plant body will remain inside water and they will still be rooted to the base of the water body. These plants remain submerged in the water and are rooted to the soil substantium, that is the Vallisneria and Hydrilla. Now Hydrilla picture is here in your books, children. Have a look at it. The plant remains submerged inside water, right? Coming to the adaptations in the hydrophyte. What are the adaptations that help these hydrophytes to remain in the water without getting damaged by decaying? Submerged part of the hydrophyte plants are covered with a mucilage. Now this word is important, children. This mucilage actually protects the plants from decaying. Now this is a kind of a thing which gives of waterproofing to the plant parts, and because of this mucilage, the plant parts that are submerged in the water do not start getting decayed. The next point is, children, roots are either absent or they are poorly developed. Now you know the function, the basic function of the root was to fix the plant firmly, and the second point was to help in the absorption of the water and the minerals. Now because these roots are already there in the plant, the water body, so they the main function of absorption is actually defeated. So many of the submerged plants, the hydrophytes, children, they have very poorly developed root system. In the submerged hydrophytes, the stem is spongy and flexible and have a number of air spaces or the air cavity. Now this is important, children. Why? Because this helps the plant in floating. If they have the air spaces in them, in the stem, the plant is able to float easily in the water. The stem of the water lily or lotus have large tunnels and holes for the air that help the rhizomes to float. The leaves of the submerged plants such as Hydrilla are thin, small, ribbon-shaped or linear in Vallisneria. Such leaves allow water to pass through them with least resistance. That means the leaves of the plants that are there submerged inside water, children, they are of that type that they do not provide any kind of hindrance in the movement of the water. The water is able to flow easily and the plant is not providing any hindrance to it. Next is the giant water lily. An aquatic plant has the largest leaves. It has a huge circular leaf that floats on the water surface. Now maybe in some cartoon shows and cartoon movies, you must have seen some Tinkerbell kind of small fairies sitting on these lotus leaves. Have you seen them, children? Yes, I know the girls must have seen it. And at times I have seen Thumbelina sitting on this and sailing in the water. Have you seen that movie? No, I have seen that. Very interesting one. You should see. So its leaf as well as that of a lotus plants, they have an oily surface, and this makes them waterproof and protects them from decaying in water. In hydrophytes, certain parts are inflated to store large quantity of air, children. Solen stem of Neptunia, solen petiole, etc. So why? So that they are able to easily float on the surface of the water. All hydrophytes possess a special tissue called the aerenchyma. Now this word is important, children, aerenchyma, because it provides the buoyancy and flexibility. That means it helps in the floating of the plant without making them go and get, say, submerged inside the water body. Mechanical tissue and water conducting elements are poorly developed because they do not need the water conducting elements. That is why they are poorly developed. Phloem or the food conducting tissue is well developed. Now children, the water conducting tissue is actually xylem. Xylem and phloem are the two vascular tissues. So xylem is not required, so it is poorly developed, but phloem, which is concerned with the food conduction, that is properly developed in all hydro. So that's it for today's video, children. I hope I made myself very clear to you and you have understood each and every point that I have explained to you in today's video. If you have really understood, you know what is to be done. Please do like, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. And please hit the bell icon, because after that you will be notified with every new video that I'm going to upload. See you very soon with rest of the videos upcoming soon. Till then, take care. Bye bye.